Hey, hey, hey. It's Talk to Tamika Tuesdays. Did y'all miss me? Oh, I missed being here. How are you guys doing in this crazy time of everything else happening and going on? So, I know last week some of you were like, "Oh, we did I miss it? What's going on? Where are you?" Guys, I have been under the table. Do you hear me? It has been crazy with everything he got going on. So I don't know about you guys, but it's work time. And then you're trying to balance and get some other stuff done. And every time you turn around, something else is popping off like kids going back to school, offices changing, new staff, people moving around. The eviction moratorium. I mean, everything seems to be happening all at once. But here's one thing I know is nothing stands still. And part of the reason that we put Teach at the Beach at this time of the year is because this is the time of the year that most people need a reset. Like their businesses need a reset, family needs a reset, right after everything from the new year and holidays, and now you get into the summer and summer breaks, and right around this time you need a reset. The business needs a reset. You personally need a reset. And so that's why, most of you are probably feeling this way is because you've been grinding and getting all those everything done for the year and meeting your goals, and now you're at the time it's like, I made it this far. And this is the time to kind of now look back and say, how far did I come? I've got this last, period of time toward the end of the year to finish off. And at the same time, your brain should be saying, and now what should I be getting ready to do for the following year? So for me, it looks pretty similar to that, other than I already know what I'm going to do for 2022, which is why when some of you have asked me something or if you see me write something, and it's like, oh, 20, I'm writing in 2022. So I don't even have like, somebody put 7/16, 21. I'm putting on checks 2022 or whatever it is I'm writing because my brain is already there. And more people need to do that and be able to forecast so that they can get ahead of the business. Because if not, then everything you do is going to be a reaction to something else going on in the market and not you getting in front of it. Okay, so as I tell folks all the time, depending on how you set things up for 2022 will determine if you're running behind the bag and then exhausted, or if the bag is going to chase you. Now, you can have the bag chase you and still be exhausted because you have so much business, but that's where, finding that niche and having that niche and dominating that niche comes in. So I was looking and I'm like, I got 200 emails in a day. I looked and I said, I'm just not going to be able to get to everybody and everything. And I looked and I started going through them and I'm like, oh, these are from this particular niche. So for most people who may know me, you know that I have a niche for teaching and I love to teach. So a lot of those messages are for teaching gigs. That's what I call them. So people wanting me to teach or help them with a school or write a course for them or whatever it is. And that's because they're getting ready for their 2022 and they want all of these things for their coursework or whatever it is. So that's where a lot of those emails come in from. Now, mind you, my niche that I work niches seasonally too. So the niche I'm working on for now is that it's all my development projects. So I'm putting all of my energy into anything having to do with development projects. And so some of you have seen some of them. We're working on some of the new ones. I've got one that we've been working on for the last 4 years. and haven't even gotten to the ground work yet because we're still negotiating. So that's taken 4 years to do. But I always carve out my time that way for each of the niches that I'm doing. So if you guys are wondering, like, where has she been? What's going on with her? I'm working on development stuff. And so development stuff means you got to dig in. You got to dig in. You got to dig deep. You got to do, all kinds of stuff that are there. So working on that. And then next week, Teach at the Beach. So we have 120 investors and independent folks and people who want to be investors, and a whole mix of folks from brokers to real estate agents to investors to people who want to get around that network to lenders to franchise owners, you name it, will be there. And we're getting around and around tables, round tables, nighttime networking, nighttime midnight masterminds, whatever it takes for people to get ready for 2022. So, some of the things I'll invite some of you guys to do, because if you're not attending, you want to experience all of that unless you're attending online and you'll see some of what we're doing, is to explore different niches. Okay. So, one important thing is that sometimes we have all of this stuff in our head. One thing that'll help you is to get a book, simple book, a pad or whatever, and write down everything that's in your head. Okay. I don't know what's going on with my technology. I tell you, it doesn't like me sometimes, but whatever. And write down all of those things in your head. And if you're coming to Teach at the Beach or you're online with us, because there's a very interactive part of Teach at the Beach. And so if you have that information in front of you and you feel like you're stuck, and when that opportunity comes to say, hey, let's get unstuck, what you got going on, what's in your head, what's on your paper, then there's an opportunity to look, and for me, if I'm around, I'm going to take a look at this paper and kind of go, the reason you're stuck is because of this, and this. And sometimes that's all it takes for me, because again, when you're in your head, a lot of you are in your way. And so when you're in your own way, it's very hard to identify what your niche is or what your niche should be. And if you're attending live at Teach at the Beach, your main role there is to listen to the different people and different presenters and see, is that a niche I can connect to? Is that a niche I should be in? Is that something or a part of that niche? Because you'll hear from so many different people. And those are the questions that you should ask people when you meet them. What is your niche? What is your business? And see if that's something that ties into something you like. How did you find your niche? How did you discover your niche? How did you get from A to B? All of those things kind of happen throughout the conference and that kind of thing. So if you're there, that will be your first thing, is to start putting everything you have on paper. And if you're not, same goes for you. So from the time you start this last quarter, the last chapter of the year, you should be jotting down what worked, what didn't work. Now, what do I want to do for next year? And one thing I find is that people have so many things they want to do that they normally wind up not doing any of it because they're trying to do it all at once, or they don't know which one to start first. And so it becomes, oh, I want to do this, and oh, I want to do that, and oh, I want to do this. And then they start off, they go to some vision board party or whatever it is, they start off running. And then there's no strategic plan to how to implement any of those things. So you're left just running. And sometimes some businesses that you guys want to do or want to start, because you just jumped out there and started running and didn't do the research, didn't find out when is a good time to maybe roll out that particular business. Because again, most of you are not going to business training and having any business training or strategy to look at your business and kind of go, oh, well, perhaps, you know, I do like these two things, but maybe they don't need to run at the same time. Perhaps they are seasonal and I can save my marketing money and my energy to just plant some seeds here? And then who can I collaborate with? That's another huge piece that I don't see enough people doing. They don't collaborate well with other people, with other businesses that can help grow their business. It's like this mentality of because you're an entrepreneur that you need to do everything on your own. So, doing everything on your own as an entrepreneur means you'll never be a business. Did you guys get that? Doing everything on your own as an entrepreneur means you'll never be a business. You'll never have a business. And don't get it mixed up because everybody's like, oh, I have a business, I have a business, I have a business. Guys, if you cannot step away from your business for a week, for a month, for 2 months, you don't have an operating business. You have a job. You created yourself a job. So own it. The way you undo that is that you look, and some of you have read Rich Dad Poor Dad and haven't really looked at the documents and the things that are in there. There's one key picture that's in there that stands out in my head whenever I'm talking to entrepreneurs, and it's the quadrant. You can see it right there. Are you on the left hand side being an entrepreneur? Are you on an investor side? Is your money going to work for you? Because if you're going to stay on the side where you are a job, you're going to burn out. And so that's why I tell you guys, make sure you have a niche. Make sure you have businesses that can operate. Make sure you're building businesses that can operate without you. In order to do that, you got to have systems and processes and people. And even now, less people, more systems and processes, because now with AI, artificial intelligence, and all kind of other things that are here and helping make the job better and easier for a lot of companies, people are being selective about what part of the business they actually need to have a human in in place with. Bots are answering questions, technology and websites are taking orders. So you don't need as many people doing as many things. You don't need to have these warehouses where you have shirts, because there are other companies who are doing drop ships for you and stuff like that. So technology is clearing up a lot of stuff. So that's my word for you guys today, is to take a look at everything that you're doing and figure out what policies, procedures, processes need to be in place so that you are not working a job. That you didn't work yourself into a job, because there will be that day that you are sick. There will be that day that you can't show up. There will be that week that you can't show up. And that operation still needs to move. Your company still needs to make you money, even when you can't get up off your back because you're in bed sick or a family emergency or something, and that company and those systems can still provide an income for you. All right? So most of you probably like, oh, that's why you'll hear me say, you see my shirt? It says, I got 99 problems, but a niche ain't one. Okay? And I work my niches based on when I need them to work for me. So that's why I don't coach 24 hours, 7 days a week, all year long. That's why I don't do certain things all the time. And that's why you got to catch me on certain things. That's why I'm like, call Carmine so that she can get you in line for whatever it is you're looking for. But what do people keep doing? Keep emailing me, keep inboxing me. And I'm like, I'm not the quickest to get to all of that stuff because I'm time blocked for my schedule. So what I'm supposed to be working on is what I'm going to work on so that the machine keeps going. So I hear people all the time talking about, I got 3 businesses, I have 4 businesses. If you go away for 3 months and nothing, and those businesses don't bring you any money, you don't have 3 businesses. You got 3 jobs. So spend the time this next quarter, guys, putting those pieces in place, figuring out what you have to have, figuring out your foundations, adding those different pieces. And I'm going to leave you guys with that because that's pretty much what we cover for the next quarter from here on out, is making sure all of those things are in place. So what else you guys got going on? Yes, it's a job. Yes, there that's right. It's a job. You've created a job trying to create multiple streams of income, and you're doing all the work. If you think multiple streams of income means you work at four companies, you got four business logos and four of this and three of that and all of this. And when you do an org chart and you're the person in every role in the org chart, you're the CEO of all four, you're the administrative assistant, you do business development, you do the teaching, you do the marketing, you do the editing of the video. What? What are you doing? What's going on? And that's why I'm like, who's coaching you? Somebody's really coaching you to tell you to do this? That's going to coach you right into depression. That's going to coach you right and it's probably you coaching yourself. That's why I tell you guys, you can't do this stuff in a bubble, because what you think is right because of what you think you know about business, and that's why you do it that way. Cuz you heard somebody talk about multiple streams of income and you're like, yeah, I'll go get this money over here and get this money over here. That's not what they meant. That's how you understood it. And that's how some of your friends probably understood it, which is why they're in no better shape than you are. So that's what that is. Where can I get a financial question answered, like using money in my 401 towards payment on my projects? Well, that depends on who you're working with, who's your real estate professional. Most real estate professionals will tell you to seek your information from your CPA and your attorneys and your other professionals that are around you. You have financial planners, all kinds of other stuff. So typically, what's not happening, and I posted this yesterday somewhere, I was saying you have to spend the time to get your professional team in order. Okay. If you want to get to seven figures, eight, for some people, high six, mid six, like I just know an average person can make 100,000 with the internet and everything else. No big deal. It's when you want to get past that that you have to invest in who's your attorneys. You got to invest in your accountants to make sure you're not giving money away. You have to invest in what I call, if you're working in real estate, let's say you're building you want to build a large real estate empire, then where is your real estate coach that helps you do that? And I like to always look at those people as profiles, um, and I'll just say, like, if you have a, just like if you have a 401k and you're building out all your stocks and everything else, you have a financial planner who is helping you specifically on that. Financial planners don't help you on real estate. They help you on stocks, mutual funds, things like that. Investing in real estate really requires the same thing. So who's your portfolio manager for that? And a lot of people don't look at real estate in that sense, because they go, oh, okay, I can do a fix and flip. I can do this. I can do that. But again, you're still in your own bubble. And so the mistakes and things like that, you're going to constantly make. And here's one thing I looked at, guys, on, and let me go back to answering your specific question. What I normally do is I have two or three financial professionals who specialize and are niche in converting funds from old employers, 401ks, all kind of other stuff, setting them up to start businesses or real estate or whatever. So I normally will refer that business or refer that person to that person. Again, I'm only looking for people who are niched in that arena, because some people are just going to give you wrong information. So ask for recommendations for people who have done it and who have been successful and who other people are using. A lot of times I will call, if I'm in someone else's town, I'll call that agent that I'm working with there and ask them to give me some recommendations, and they'll call their network. Like, everybody has a network. Sometimes if I'm looking for, like, if I'm looking for an attorney, then I'll call my attorney and ask my attorneys who can give me the best referral for this kind of, you know, business. Because again, it's got to be niche in there. One thing, and I'll leave you guys with this. I was doing some research, like I always am, reading or whatever, and people were commenting on something on this thread I was looking at, and it said, "Oh, properties are going up, rentals are going up," and people were just like, "That's no big deal. You just make a little more money, you do whatever, whatever, and there's not enough affordable housing, and this and this and this and that." Granted, um, what we used to be able to buy for 200,000 can't buy for 200,000 anymore. You got to go up. And the the thing I'm seeing, guys, and this is where I want you to pay attention. So if you are in a business that's not surrounded by real estate, and I tell you, if you're in any business, you're still playing monopoly because you still have to pay rent or mortgage somewhere, whether you own it or not, or whether people are paying it to you or not. So whether you're, in the game or watching the game, you're still paying. Okay. And what I see is that years ago, several years back, we could do a couple of things. If there was a family had a divorce, someone was sick, or whatever, and there was a foreclosure that happened, a family could go very well go through that, and in a few years, um, I'd say let's take a single person, go through a divorce, lose their house, and in a few years would be able to find a new house and get back on their feet. That's not, when you look at these numbers now, that's going to be so much harder to do because of how the market has shifted and the price points of everything going up and inflation and salaries standing still. So, to my entrepreneurs that are out here, okay, it is time for you in 2022 that if you were making 100,000, you really need to put in the work, put in the systems or whatever it is so that you can make 200,000, 250,000. So those other monies, that extra money that you might be needing to do something with, you start investing in. To my folks who are not entrepreneurs, who are working their 9 to 5s, you have to pull the trigger and buy something. Buy where you, I don't care if you don't buy where you are living right now, but you better buy an investment. I've seen so many people asking so many of these groups, where can they find a beach property for $200,000 and all this other stuff. There was a time that I could say, oh, here's the place, here's a place, here's a place. In the last 5 years, I'm lucky if I can give people two places where they can find a beachfront property for 200,000 or less. So where people used to complain, oh, California is high and this and that, it is high everywhere now, and not high to where you can't get in, but you won't be able to get in single by yourself, not with a partner, and trying to work, your job, because inflation and everything else is outpacing where you are. So get somewhere and get something. I always like to buy, of course, where I'm going to live so that I can stop the rent increases and I can kind of manage my payment. But there are times that I wasn't able to do that, like growing up in New York. I could not afford the places I wanted to stay in. So that didn't mean I didn't invest. I would just invest outside of New York. That's all. That's have a couple of properties outside of New York and still be making money, still investing so that the long term wealth doesn't, you're not waiting to build. Part of wealth building is not waiting until later to then get started. And for those folks who are sitting in fear and everything else, the amount of money that procrastination is costing you is what, makes me most afraid. So the people I'm always talking to, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Do you know how much procrastination has costed you this year? I know people who told me they were going to buy a house 5 years ago. Do you know how much equity you've lost in 5 years with your procrastination? At least 100 grand. So your procrastination has now, you left $100,000 on the table. That could have been for your kids, grandkids, for you. But procrastinating, waiting for something else, putting things in front of what was most important, which is your future, your legacy, and all those things, you can't keep putting that stuff off. Okay? So, guys, I'm going to run. I've got back to my development stuff I've got to do. If you were looking or needing something from me, again, make sure you call Carmine. If you need tickets to Teach at the Beach, you can get that in Carmine from Carmine as well. I'll post that here. You guys have a great week. I probably won't see some of you again until Teach at the Beach, and some of you I will see before then. Not sure when, because I start bumping into some of you guys on the beach who come in earlier, and we'll be there and live next week from the beach and some of our sessions down there. So if you are connected there, you're welcome to join us online, and we'll have some limiting things here with what we can post here, just to kind of say hi and keep you guys informed of what's going on. So no matter what, guys, keep investing, keep looking for opportunities, keep moving that money. Remember, money is currency. It's got to keep moving. Keep moving that money, not sitting it in the bank, waiting for who knows what at 0.001%. Find a project, ask the questions, get in the project, and go. Go. So I will see you guys later. Oh, yes, we'll have to talk about the corporations buying all the properties on our next show. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.